Hey, and welcome everybody. This is LCDR Keys. I'm gonna start doing some videos about something that I'm very passionate about, and I don't know why I hadn't thought to do videos on this before. I kind of started off the YouTube channel just doing some video games here and there and occasionally ranting about technology, and I'll still continue to do that, but I think I'm gonna change the focus of my videos to tabletop gaming, and particularly Pathfinder, Dungeons & Dragons, those being the two that I have the most experience with, or D20 fantasy role-playing games in general. Let me get a sip of my coffee here. Reason being that I think that as opposed to technology topics where everybody's already, there's lots of people who've already put out great content about different technology topics and things like that, and as opposed to video game playthroughs, there's only a handful of people doing stuff on tabletop gaming, and I feel like with my experience and everything I should contribute to, I feel like I should contribute to tabletop gaming on the web as it is. So, for this first video I figured I'd go over my Dungeon Master's Binder, my Game Master's Binder. I put this together recently in anticipation for beginning to run a 5th edition campaign. And this is a binder that I've put together of just resources to use on the fly and during the creation of a campaign. So, I'll kind of pull it out from the side here. And this is something I recommend for every DM take a look into making, whether it be digital or physical. I prefer pen and paper as much as possible. I'll get into the tools and things that I use most of the time, but this is my DM's binder. I just picked a nice red solid binder here, and on the inside I've got some things going on here. I've got the current character sheets. This is where I keep everybody's current character sheets, so I know where everybody's at skill-wise, hit point-wise, so I don't, you know, accidentally kill a party member or something like that. And not to say that I ever softball it, but I like to know what I'm playing with. I've got my custom, this is my house rules, this is how I run my game table. That takes up 2 pages, and I'll go over my house rules and everything and read through them in another video. Then I found this is free online. This is a little combat flow chart for how turns work in 5th edition. I really needed to maybe set up a camera in front of the desk and just show you, but I'll do this instead. And then here's another free reference sheet that I got, and this reference sheet really just goes over all of your strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, you know, wisdom, charisma-based dice checks or benchmarks. Then it has like NPC reactions, random encounters, surprises, special actions, and conditions all defined out. So it's a quick glance. It also has a section for like weather and how that can affect the environment and things like that. It's a really, really nice reference tool. I'll try to, in the description, put the links to the tools that I've got, because I got all these free from people who are making stuff for 5th edition. I'm kind of even putting together some of my own stuff. Next up in this front section, I have the Monsters by Challenge rating. Monsters by Challenge rating over here, which is a free little PDF that you can download from Wizards of the Coast's website. And that was not something that was included in the Monster Manual. It was included in the Dungeon Master's Guide that came out later, but everybody kind of griped about it not being in the Monster Manual, so they put out a free PDF while we waited for the DMG. So then, after that initial front section, I've got 5 different categories here. I've got crits and fumbles. I've got a section on, basically it's a little section just with a bunch of charts for critical hits and fumbles, nat 1s or nat 20s, basically, where I roll on a chart. I've got some 3rd edition inspired charts in here that can be kind of modified and become system neutral. So I've got that section. I've got a section that I call Plots, Places, and People, and in this section I copied out my favorite pages of the Pathfinder Dungeon Master's Guide, because even if you're playing another fantasy game. I don't care if it's Warhammer, not 40k, Warhammer, Pathfinder, D&D, whatever edition of D&D, the Pathfinder Game Master's Guide is quite excellent at giving you tons and tons of tables and tools for Dungeon Masters. For example, here's a page on just words Dungeon Masters should know. Those words including things like pendulum, let me see here, ineffable, I can't speak today, so don't make fun of me, nucleus, obtuse, reckoning, recluse, temperance, just, you know, some words that you don't hear in everyday, you know, conversation. So I've then divided that section up into the plots, tables for generating interesting NPCs, giving them characteristics, things like that, the tables that have to do with generating dungeons, tables that have to do with generating taverns, and then like water environments, such as boats and things like that, and then so that completes that section for the most part. And then I've got another section here called Traps and Terrain, and this is where I've kind of filled out from some other great YouTubers, such as DM Johnny DM Johnny, I can't remember, I haven't watched him for too long, but he is a fantastic YouTuber, got a lot of great material that he produces for his fans, and so I stole one of his free and up for grabs 5th edition traps PDFs that I was able to put in here. So it's got things like, you know, a glue bomb, a collapsing ceiling trap, things like that, just really cool stuff. And then there's also a fantastic terrain section that I found. Somebody put together some 5th edition terrain stuff that just kind of in the same vein as traps, but just makes terrain more difficult for encounters and things like that. And then finally in this last section, that is treasure, usually I just go straight to the Dungeon Master's Guide for 5th edition when I'm rolling up treasure for a game that I'm currently working on or something like that. But I found by Courtney Campbell, and you can look this up, it's free online, there is a really nice little booklet on treasure that is not your typical magic item or your typical just coins and gems. It goes into art and mundane items, things that we would think of as mundane in the D&D universe that actually have quite a lot of value in the real world. Such as, you know, art, craftsmanship type trinkets and things like that. And then here in the last section, I've got event tables and random happenings. And this is where I found a really cool chart called Drunken Debauchery, where basically if your players go out drinking, if your characters go out drinking in this game, what happens the next morning? So, for example, here I'll roll on the chart real quick. It's 2d10, it's a percentile chart. I'll roll and give you a couple of examples. So, let's see, I rolled an 85. And if I flip over on to 85, unexpected companion. You woke up next to a member of your preferred gender. Determine attractiveness as just married entry. So you can, it's up to the DM's discretion, you know exactly what's going on, but I'll roll once more. See what we get. 95. 95 on this beautiful Drunken Debauchery chart gets you, you are so generous. You donated your money to a worthy institution. Roll 1d6. 1 to 2 is the local poor, 3 to 4 being the local temple, and 5 to 6 being an orphanage. And then the DM gets to decide how much you donated. And then when you roll high in the 96 to 100 range, you roll twice on this chart and apply both results. It says you are a madman. Some of the other ones are like you woke up next to another party member. DM gets to determine their gender. So you can mix for some interesting stories. One of them is even you wake up next to a corpse and you have no idea what happened. So yes, you can reenact The Hangover, and you can have I don't know, Bradley Cooper would probably be you know, the fighter. Zach Galifianakis would probably be... Anyways, I digress. And then in the back here, I found this, and I'll try to put as many links up in the description as I can as I find these things. But, I found player awards, and this is just really cool. I'm actually going to unclip this and show you guys. Think Xbox achievements, only for Dungeons & Dragons. They look like this, and you can either cut these out and hand them out to the players when they win one. And there are quite a few, and this is front and back. But the way I'm choosing to do it is I'm going to keep it in one sheet in my binder, and when a player wins one of these or gets the achievement, I take out the sheet, they get to write their player name, character name, and date it. And then we'll see if we can fill this up by the end of a campaign. But to give you some examples, let's see. I speak jive, act as the party translator. Holla holla, get a dollar. Amass 1,000 gold pieces. Let's see. Oh yeah, burst through a wall. Karma's a bitch. Experience revenge from an old enemy. Half the title, finish a dungeon. The other half of the title, kill a dragon. Let's see. Nothing is true. Kill an NPC without being seen or heard. So, let me see here. What's another good one? My turn. Revive an NPC just to kill them yourself. It's, you know, just classic things that you expect to happen in a D&D game at some point. Stop, drop, and roll. Survive 3 rounds of ongoing fire damage. I'm okay. Survive a crit. This is Bat Country. Take drugs in the game. Yeah. Your mother was a hamster. Taunt an enemy to get their attention. So, just like, you know, the DM has to kind of go through these and recognize when a player's achieved one of them in the game. And then afterwards, you can kind of pull the player over and be like, hey, you got an achievement, by the way. Or at the end of the session, you announce it to everybody, and it's kind of a, yeah, they got an achievement, holla holla, or whatever you guys do. And then as we near the back of the binder here, I've, of course, got just an extra copy, a blank copy of a character sheet, the 3-page character sheet. My group will be using form-fillable PDFs that do some of the calculations for like weight and attack and race and stuff like that already that we found on EN-World or InWorld. And then at the very back, I have the folder that is not labeled yet, but this will be for the old player character sheets, so you eventually get all the old character sheets back in the back here, so you can reference them if you need to. So yeah, this is what I've put together in preparation for a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game, or as they're calling it now, I guess, just Dungeons & Dragons. Because I think really, personally, and I'll go over kind of my feelings on it in another video, but this seems to be the edition. At least for me, this is going to be the edition, because it's the only edition where seems everybody's happy about something with it. During the playtest, there was a lot of bitching and a lot of complaining and a lot of worriedness going on, but I think most of that's gone away, and it will be definitely interesting to see how well 5th edition plays out overall. So anyways, that was my Dungeon Masters binder. I encourage you guys to find all the free resources and charts. There's great communities, especially on Reddit, on the D&D Next Reddit, and also on the D&D Reddit, all spelled D-N, letter N-D. There are great resources out there. And you know what? The one other thing I'll go over is what I'm gonna start using as a DM screen before I close out this video. I didn't plan to do this, but for the DM screen, the 5th edition DM screen has not come out yet, and whether I'll buy it and use it is up to me going into my local game store, opening it up, unless it's wrapped, then asking the store manager, hey, I'm gonna unopen this, is that okay? And he's gonna be like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then I'll have to buy it. But I'll open it up, I'll see what's inside, and then maybe I'll buy it. But I found one that was done online, and I'll see if I can find the link to this and put it in the description. This is at least the one thing I'll put down here. But this is a really good 6-page landscape DM screen. 3 of those pages that have to do with ability score, 2 of those pages have to do with the ability scores. and one of them with the turns, that was the turn flow chart that I showed you. That's all in my front section of my DM binder, but the 3 inside slips I'm definitely using. So I'll show you this. A friend bought this for me. This is a foldable, customizable DM screen that was made by the people who made Savage Worlds, the role-playing game. Picked this up at my local game store. A good friend of mine bought it for me. And basically, it's what this is right here. It's a really nice quality, high-quality plastic 3 trifold little DM screen. Or just put your inserts in there. It's nice and black, and you can print whatever you want and put it in there. So on the outside here, I've got some of my favorite art. This is the Death Knight from Dragonlance. I've got in the centerpiece the classic party on the mountain from Lord of the Rings. And then on the other side here, I've got Tychesis, or in the D&D universe, in Farron, Tiamat, next to Riceland, and then Karaman in the background there. At least I think you could... Nope, he got cut off in the picture. But also from Dragonlance. And then on the inside here, found some awesome... There's some awesome stuff. It goes over what I really think should be on the inside of every DM screen. And that being, it has all of the weapons, simple ranged, martial, and martial ranged, what they cost, what the damage is, and everything, so you can keep an eye on, players that like to, think that their DMs don't have all that stuff memorized, which we do. We have it memorized all the time. But no, it better so just gives you a quick reference if a player wants to pick one up, pick up a weapon. Same thing for armors and shields, services, and then lifestyle expenses, so you can kind of get a good pricing of what goes on in a day. And then character advancement, XP, and proficiency bonuses, resting, the definition for a short rest and a long rest, traveling, cover, exhaustion, donning and doffing armor, damage and dying, conditions and states, and then monster statistics, how much XP they're worth, their proficiency bonuses, and then it gives you a little walkthrough of how to build a proper encounter in 5th edition, because 5th edition's encounter building is very similar to previous versions. You build with an XP budget usually, but there's a particular way that you literally, until you get the hang of it, need to check if you're overpowering your players. There's some math that goes into it that's interesting. And then encounter difficulty, XP per character, and then random encounter chances. So it's got some great stuff in there, and I'll see if I can link all that together. But that is what I'm using for my DM binder, my DM screen for this 5th edition campaign setting, for this 5th edition game that I will be setting in the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. Because there's not a setting out, I will be using all of my old Forgotten Realms books, and then I'll be using the wiki, and check this out. This is kind of cool. A friend of mine picked this up and then gave it to me just kind of as a gift because he wasn't going to use it. The old 1987 Forgotten Realms Gray Box. I believe it goes by the Gray Box, the old Gray Box. But so I'm using a bunch of different source material to put together my world, and I believe this box is actually worth quite a bit of money at the moment. I haven't priced it, but if any of you who watch this figure out, oh, it's worth a shit ton of money, I'll give you a bunch of money for it, let me know. So that I can take really, really good care of it and not sell it, because I'm not going to sell it. Anyways, so thanks for watching. This is LCDR Keys. Dungeon Master Austin is what they call me in other worlds. So yeah, thanks for watching. That's kind of what I've been doing in preparation for my 5th edition game that's going to be firing up here in the next couple of weeks.